the hand. And let's see how he handles second pair. He's coming out straight betting again to see where he is, and he won't like the answer he gets from Ken Leonard. Ken Leonard knows that this is a feeler bet from Joe. And I would say trapping here. I think Leonard feels he's almost certainly in front. That's not the nicest card for Leonard to see, but Joe Beavers will probably switch off here.
Check. Check.
Okay, Leonard doesn't know where he is. He's happy for the check on the turn.
Check.
Probably happy for the check on the river. No, he's going to try and extract a bit of value here.
2,200.
He's found out where he was on the turn. He's now confident that his king is good. Joe Beavers only has to decide whether he's facing an out-and-out bluff. But if he was facing a bluff, why would Ken call on the flop? I think he's good enough to throw this away.
Pass.
Yeah, once again, we see a play where a player finds out the cheapest way where they are in the pot by leading out of the hand with second pair.
Be tighter for Germany on the big blind. First action to Ireland. And Scott Gray's reaching. That looks like a raise.
Raise to 700. Pass.
He's cranked up his game a little bit.
Pass.
Under the gun raise has plenty of respect.
Yes, but Katia Tata obviously has a decision. Yes, well, she's got a pair of jacks. She's got Gray in a lot of trouble. Will she just call this early position raise, try and take a flop? Or will she stick a re-raise in, try and find out how strong Gray's hand is here and now? You know, she's a bit low on chips, and that might affect her decision about how she plays this hand, Jesse. Normally, I think her instinct would be to re-raise, but she's thinking about that chip position, and maybe she's just going to have a look this time, yes.
That's what she's done. Probably the best card for Scott Gray right now would be to see an ace. Does he know it?
Well, a 9 wouldn't hurt, but it's an overpair for both of them, which is bad news for Scott, but he does have the diamond, Jesse. And Tata, of course, doesn't know where she is still. She didn't make that re-raise. She didn't find out the strength of Scott Gray's hand. Now she wants to find out how good her overpair is.
2,200.
And now it's Scott Gray with a very, very difficult decision. Overpair, diamond draw. Which is she betting? Has she got an ace of diamonds in her hand?
It's a big bet, Barney. It was more than the size of the pot. And it's left Germany with 7,000 back.
It's the kind of bet players make when they don't want action, which of course she doesn't really. But why doesn't she want action? Does she not want action because she's on a flush draw? Or for the reason that we know, which is that she doesn't want this to go any further. She doesn't have a diamond in her hand.
Pass.
Well, that's a very good pass by Scott Gray.
Welcome back to the 888 Poker Nations Cup.
No action. You got 30 minutes left.
Pass. Raise to 600.
So second level.
This is cheaper.
Pass.
Ken Leonard,
Cost me 100
it's almost like he's getting paid per hand he plays.
He's never daunted. He's not going to change his game. He plays the Swedish game. And look at this. Scott Gray on the button with nothing but a king-queen has decided that Leonard has been doing far too much raising to have a genuine hand
Pass.
every time, and he's come over the top.
Pass.
Good news for him is that Joe Beaver's passed the exact same hand that Leonard's got. So if Leonard decided to call this, he'd be drawing pretty thin, but with 1,000 more to pay, I don't really think Leonard can afford, out of position, to call this re-raise. And this is fabulous timing by Scott Gray. He's been calling raises with ace-king earlier, and now he's decided to come over the top with king-queen, a much weaker hand.
You look like you're about to laugh.
I don't take it that seriously.
Scott Gray giving a smile. This is one man who has got timing down to a science. And looks like Leonard's trigger. He can't call. Ireland has put the clamper down, and Sweden has had to back off. That was a message, Barney. Don't be doing that too often. My eyes are on you.
I think Joe wants to come out.
And Great Britain are making a substitution. Joe Beavers has been playing a faultless game, and I can't understand why he's been taken out of this game at this stage.
The reason we've took Joe out is because he was asking to be took out. He was saying, I think he wanted to use the loo. He drunk that much water, but he was playing good, and he could have stayed in till the end of the level. But we're cool. We've sent Ram in there to do the business, and hopefully there'll be a few chips left for when I get back in there.
And there's a substitution Germany as well. Michael Keiner, the German captain, he's hit the buzzer.
Our original plan was to substitute Katja after first two levels. She's done her job, she played solid, and now it's time for Mr. Cool.
And they're all following suit. Denmark now making a substitution as well. They're all thinking they don't want to be disadvantaged by having other players in there who know how they've been playing.
The reason why we took René out was that he seemed not to hit any flops at all, and he didn't have so much success in his play. So now it's time for Christian, and hopefully he's gonna hit some flops instead.
So the three new substitutions have taken their places. It's Ram Vaswani for Great Britain, Roland Specht for Germany, and Christian Grundtvig for Denmark. And Barney, what do you think was the best substitution, and what will these new players be thinking about the ones already on the table?
Well, it's interesting, Jesse, because all the three players remaining are the players who probably were doing the most stealing, playing the most fast and loose, and now they know these new players are onto them. And Scott Gray particularly, who did a lot of work on building up his table image early on and cranked up a gear later and started to steal, he's had his moves taken away from him a bit, and he might have to go back into a shell.
Ram Vaswani, the crazy horse for Great Britain, has immediately raised the first pot he's played, and so has Grundtvig, a re-raise to 2,200. It's 1,600 on Vaswani. This is a big pot right now between Denmark and Great Britain, and Denmark is out of position, but they have the better hand.
Two players.
Well, very, very, very good flop for Vaswani. He was dominated before the flop. Denmark playing very strong, following through with the raid, but he won't like Vaswani's answer. Vaswani might just be moving on this flop, Jesse.
I'm all in.
He's come straight in, all in on the very first hand.
This is amazing.
Grundtvig can't go anywhere with this. He can sit and he can think, but he's been out-flopped, Jesse, and this is vintage Vaswani, and it's hilarious. The very first hand, it's almost as if he had the instruction from his captain to go in and move all in on the first hand, but he had the flop to do it.
So lucky.
What kind of device did he? Did
I just wanted to see Dave's
they use a metal detector on
I
this
hope
guy?
someone's got that on camera.
Ram is a pretty unique player. He has his own type of playing, very aggressive, and he's very prepared to stick all his chips in, nothing on the right occasion, but he's very good at picking his spots, and he's got a great tournament record, as we all know.
Great stuff, and the blinds 2 and 400 now. We've eked into that third level, Germany on the button. So there are three players at this table who know, because of the rules, they can only play till the end of this level. Specht, though, I think he's settling in for a good long while. He was really Germany's inspiration so far in this tournament. He needs to make some chips.
Raise to 1100. Pass.
400 plus 700. Ram Vaswani.
Call.
A look and he'll peekaboo.
Once again with a hand dominated before the flop.
2 players.
9 would be deadly. Nothing for anyone.
Check.
You would expect the raiser to have a pop at this, Jesse.
Check.
This is a very cautious player, especially against somebody as good as Ram Vaswani.
Check.
Specht's going to have a little pop at it now, or is he going to be happy to try and check this one out? Hope his ace is good. He really does relinquish the initiative. He puts out a sign to Ram Vaswani saying chips on offer, chips on offer. But Ram, being very cautious, he probably feels that second pair means that Specht might call him with any ace. And Specht is going to check this, I'm sure, and hope his ace is good. And so it is.
This pot pretty important for Germany. 2,400 in there, and Specht only having 9,400 back. This will increase Germany's stack by about 20%.
Roland is more the kind of mathematician trying to get his edge, only doing bets if he knows he's got an advantage. Yeah, very conservative, tight player, and never gives anything away.
Probably have to play at least like 15 minutes, at least half a level. No more than level and no more than one level.
200 and 400 blinds out there. Exposed card.
No more than like a level.
Stevie will show everyone that one, so no advantage will be given unfairly. And the first action is to Specht.
Pass. Pass. Pass.
1200.
Raise to 1200.
Pass.
Well, Andy Block not inhibited by the fact that they've seen the kind of hands he's been raising with on the button. But Leonard, who's not one of the ones who's privileged with that information, would still like to have a look. Well,
Re-raise.
he's putting the pressure on. Maybe Christian Grundfrick has whispered to Ken Leonard that Block has been raising without the hands, but Leonard suddenly finding a re-raise at a very good time.
Well, that's fantastic timing, Barney.
Yes.
Block had really shut down shop. This is the first hand he's raised in a long time, and Leonard all over what's going on.
That's right, great instincts from Leonard. Very, very strong, aggressive play. This one's over, Jesse.
Pass.
But great play by Ken Leonard. And that's put the USA under a little bit of pressure.
The 888 Poker Nations Cup. Six teams out there, and the chip movement has been outstanding. We knew that it was anyone's game when we came in, but Barney, did you expect things to shift like this so quickly? Sweden up, and Great
Raise to
Britain
1300.
chip leaders. Raise coming here from Scott Gray.
Pass.
2 9s. He's had these under the gun before.
Yes, he has. Last time he was up against the jacks, and he got away very, very cheaply indeed. This time he's up against the tens.
Call. Pass.
Bet 1,300 call. This pot could get big, and it'll be a significant one for Andy Block, especially since he's just lost a pot. Look at Leonard. Small blind, 2 overs.
Well, a dangerous kind of hand to call without a position. I mean, if he knew what he was up against, he'd be delighted to call, but I'm not surprised he threw that one away. And Scott Gray, if it comes another raggy flop, is he going to be able to get away from it again against an overpair to his nines? He's been a bit unfortunate
players.
so far, Jesse.
Does Scott Gray know where he's at? A jack on board will not worry either
Gray
one,
has to
Barney.
bet this one. It's not a bad looking flop for a pair of nines. He's bet a couple of thousand, Jesse. And I can't really see Block giving this up. He may actually raise, find out where he is.
The eyes are narrowing, Andy Block realizing this is a pretty serious
Block
situation.
just calls. Gray doesn't really know where he is now because Block might be calling with a flush draw. Is Gray going to be good enough to give this one up on the turn? I mean, a lot of players would follow through hoping that Block was on the draw here, but it's going to be very, very expensive for Gray if he's wrong, and not easy for Block to call if Gray calls again. Now Gray's checked it, and now Block's beginning to feel quite correctly that his tens are likely to be good, and I think Gray's good enough to get away from this. Once again, he's got away from the overpair to his nines just about as cheaply as it was possible to do. Betting far cheaper than check raising in these situations, and Gray has impressed me enormously in this tournament so far.
I don't think I ever seen you play better.
You haven't seen his cards.
That's another 2 pints.
Pass. Pass.
Fold it around to Ken Leonard.
Raise to 1200.
Well, how can they know what he's got? And he's got a strong hand. Most of the time when he's been raising, even though he's been raising a lot, he's had genuine hands to do it with.
Pass.
They can't know how big he is though. Vaswani choosing just to have a look out of the big blind, and much stronger hand than you would think that he would have in this situation.
2 players.
A raggy flop's going to be good news for. Oh, what a fantastic flop for Ram. Ken Leonard's going to have one pop at this. And how's Ram going to play it? Is he going to try and is he going to raise it and try and look like he's making a steal representing the rags on the flop, or is he going to call? Yes, that's what most players would do. He doesn't want to scare. He's got the absolute nuts. He doesn't want to scare Leonard off. And if it had come on ace or a queen, that would have been terrible news for Leonard. But I think Leonard's going to switch off here.
Check.
Ace or a queen, very bad news for Leonard. Oh, that is a card which is going to cost Sweden dearly, Jesse. Believe me.
Action on Ram, and it's going to be very hard for Ken to feel like he doesn't
Bet
have the best
3,000.
hand
I
here.
think he's going to have to call this. I don't think he'll get busy and raise it.
Call.
Well, I think that's just unfortunate for Leonard. Nothing he could do. He bet the flop representing the overpair. Ram called with his set. Leonard switched off on the turn, but when it came the queen, Leonard had to pay off the bet, and that's a huge, huge swing in chips again towards the GB team.
980.
You're on as well. You're on.
One flop.
Again, US wins.
Big against top set.
Gruntfee first to speak.
Pass.
Ken
Pass.
Leonard shut his shop down.
Pass.
And Scott Gray from the button, looking to apply
Raise
the
to
pressure
1300.
surgically.
Pass.
He's just keeping himself in this. Ireland with everything they have to do. It'll be 900 on Andy Block, who's keen to play a flop, Barney.
Call.
And if the hearts come down, it could be the last flop he plays.
Bit of
2
history
players.
here between USA and Ireland.
Very, very scary looking flop for a raiser here when they've been called on the big blind. I don't expect Gray to bet this one. But his instincts are to follow through on the raise almost whatever.
Bet 1500.
Taking his heart in his hands, and it won't go any further, I'm sure. Block knows there's a good chance he could steal this. There's a good chance that Gray doesn't have any of this. Wow.
Raise to 4500.
That's a strong play.
That's a very, very strong play. He knows that this is the kind of flop that you don't want to see when you're a raiser, and maybe he picked up how tentative Gray was when he bet on the flop there. But this is a very, very powerful re-raise, but nothing but a gut shot at the bottom end. I think the Block is going to get away here with possibly the move of this final so far.
Andy Block check raising with a hand where he could be drawing virtually dead. What timing, what sense.
Well, you've got to say that Block must have had a very, very good read on Gray there. Gray very tentatively bet that flop. He felt he had to follow through, however dangerous it was. and block, showing there's more to him than just solid play.
Smile from Andy Block. He's made his own arrangements. And there's a substitution being made. It's Ireland. It's Ireland, Barney.
Scott Gray is being replaced, and the only question is, who by, Jesse?
We replaced Scott with Padraig. Scott had played well, but the cards weren't running his way at the finish, so we thought it maybe to change the look a little.
Parkinson, there he is now in for Ireland. What do you think he's going to bring to this game, Barney?
Well, firstly, he's going to bring the knowledge that Andy Block is either a genius or insane about the way he played that last pot. He's going to bring a good speech play game to counter Ken Leonard, but most of all, he's going to bring a wealth of experience in poker, particularly in this format, Jesse, where he's done so well over the years.
Pass. Call.
Quickly called by Gruntvy, who's on a pretty short stack on the button.
But Parkinson likely to bet out at all sorts of flops here, and most of the time Gruntvy will miss.
2 players.
It's pot 3,000. And it's not a clean miss by Gruntvy. 8 would make him a straight, but not the best of all cards.
Bet 2,200.
Parkinson following through, and it would be very expensive for Gruntvy to do anything other than throw this away.
Pass.
A little raise and take it for Ireland.
Well, this is what he's been sent in to do, to gather chips.
And a timeout called by Denmark. The Danish captain will have 60 seconds to meet with his player. Let's hear what they have to say.
It's when you pull your hands in, you lift them above and pull them over the glass. And we think the other player can see your card if you do like that. You have to glide them in.
I have to translate it.
Well, first timeout used for Denmark. And was it worthwhile, Barney?
Well, I mean, it was very interesting that Wendt was concerned about there being a little bit of possibility that the other players could see his cards because he wasn't pulling them cleanly into that little square. I know that he knows that nobody would deliberately take advantage of that, but of course you can't help it if you catch sight of a card.
Shoot him.
Parkinson saying, I'm not scared of you, crazy horse. Should he be?
Everybody's a little scared of the horse, Jesse.
Big flop for Parkinson.
Check.
2 pairs.
Check.
And, Vaswani not biting. An ace would be very interesting. And a flush draw now as well.
Parkinson's all over this flop.
Bet 700.
He's made a very, very small bet, hoping that Ram will think he's on a steal. I don't think Ram thinks he needs to get involved here, Jesse.
Ram's drawing live to 3 sevens, but he always suspects if there's a chance. Is he going for a move?
Well, I mean, he might. If he's thinking of representing the club, if it comes, that could be very, very expensive. Maybe he thinks his ace is possibly good. Now, of course, he's hit a pair. That's probably enough for him to just check on the end and hope his pair is winning, Jesse. Yes, your kicker is a 5, Ram.
Vaswani was indeed going for a straight. He hit the pair instead, and Parkinson slowing down on the river. And 2 per take the pot.
Padraig Parkinson is probably the best player on the team, and that's why we played him in the first heat. We thought it was vital to get off to a good start. And he's a match for anybody in the world, I think, especially in this short-handed format.
Welcome back to the 888 Poker Nations Cup.
Raise to 1200.
Well, Sweden under the gun in a very precarious position chip-wise, Barney. That 1200
Pass.
that Leonard stuck in more than 10% of his stack. Don't think he can stand much heat right now.
Pass, pass.
No, he can't. But once again, you know, he's a player who knows there's no prizes for second place, and he's going to try and fight his way right back into this.
Andy giving Ken the long look. Is he thinking the re-raise from the small blind? Surely ace-6 can't be good.
I think it's good enough to have a look, Jesse.
Call.
How many minutes left?
And they haven't priced
Pass.
Grunt
Less
again.
than 6, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
USA has Sweden in their sights.
Well,
Two
an
players.
ace high flop would be very, very bad news for Sweden. And that's exactly what's happened. Gruntvig would have flopped 2 pair. Ken playing very cautiously, he's not biting here.
So Jack would have made Ken a straight.
But that's possibly the worst card in the deck for Ken. He's got second pair with a good kicker. And
That's 1200.
he's going to have to take a view here.
Quick call from Ken Leonard. He needs a queen, a jack, or a king. Anything else, and Block will have the best hand for USA. That's a miss.
Expect Block to check this now. He's got no kicker with his ace, and he'd rather call a bet than make one, I would have thought. But I haven't been right about him all the time, that's for sure.
Bet 1500.
A small feeler bet. Rather not call a bigger bet than, and it might be the right price to get a call from a queen as well. 1,500 into a pot of over 5,000, Jesse. This is a very, very intelligent bet by Block. He can get away from a raise, and he might get a value call as well.
The amazing thing, Barney, the clock has run out on this third level, so no matter what happens, this will be the last pot for Andy Block and Ken Leonard. If Leonard makes this call, he's going to only give his next man up 6,000 to play with. That extra 1,500 could be so important for the next level.
I think about the only thing that Leonard can be beating in his mind is Queen Jack, Jesse.
He's folded.
Okay.
That
Is the
may
end of this
have
round?
just been the
10-minute
difference
break?
between Sweden having an impossibly short
Goes
stack.
to USA.
And we'll see who Andy Block and Ken Leonard are going to be replaced with before the start of this next level.
I tried my very best. I think I played good, but the result was disastrous. It was time for a change, and Bengt is the guy to put us right on track again.
I left Andy Block in there as long as I could because he was playing great. Now for Team USA, Kathy Liebert. Here she comes.
Well, here they are. Kathy Liebert for the USA team, and now Sonnert, of course, for Sweden. And, well, you can't fault it. He may be the strongest on the side.
Yes, Sonnert, a very, very powerful player, and he'll keep on moving chips, playing the game that Leonard's been playing. But I think that Liebert, she knows how to put pressure on the short stacks, particularly the Swedes, and she'll be very happy to have position